Today, we're talking Deadwood. And by Deadwood, I mean the intentional addition of dead branches, sections of barkless trunks or holes in the tree's trunk to give the impression of age, ruggedness, and the tree's struggle against the elements. But more importantly, it gives us a chance to tell stories about the tree and its environment without having to wait hundreds of years for those stories to unfold naturally. It's an important technique that experienced bonsai artists use all the time. So today we're going to talk about how they do it. This is a jin, this is a shari, and this is a sabamiki. Each of these are types of deadwood that can be added to your bonsai to help tell a story, add age, and make your bonsai look much older than it really is. And each of them require their own specialized techniques to do correctly. So let's take a closer look at each one, starting with the jin. A jin is a dead branch that has been left on the tree to grow over and around, creating interesting shapes and patterns as the tree grows. Sometimes they occur naturally, but we can also create them ourselves when the tree is young. We choose a healthy branch on the tree that will look good when it eventually dies. We remove the bark from that branch and leave only the hardwood behind. Then we can use special pliers called jin pliers to bend and twist the branch to our liking. The final step is just to trim off any extra leaves or branches that would cover the dead branch so that it is exposed and visible. In some cases, you may need to file down the edges of the dead branch with concave cutters or sandpaper to soften the transition between the dead branch and the live branches. If there are any remaining buds on the dead branch, you should kill them by rubbing them with super glue. Otherwise, they will try to grow, which will cause problems. Finally, you can apply a mixture of lime sulfur to bleach and preserve the wood. Remember that it's not uncommon to have multiple jin on a single tree. Up next is the shari. A shari is a section of the trunk where the bark has been removed, exposing the light-colored wood underneath. Over time, this area will darken and become brittle. Shari is often caused by fungal infections or severe pruning. It can also be created by the natural shedding of bark on certain species like maples. But no matter how they occur, many bonsai artists like to incorporate areas of shari into their trees because they draw attention to the unique grain pattern of the exposed wood and give the tree a sense of age. Creating this shapely shari can be difficult, but fortunately, we don't have to wait for one to happen naturally. We can create our own. The first step is to mark the area on the trunk with chalk. You want to make sure that you are marking an area that will disrupt the flow of water and nutrients to any higher branches, because if you girdle the tree, it will die. Now start stripping a narrow strip of bark away with a sharp knife. Over time, you can widen this area, but it's best to do this slowly and over several growing seasons. Once you get down to the wood, you can begin to hollow out the area with a gouge or a concave cutter. As you remove material, periodically check your progress by wiping the area with a damp cloth. If you see any chalk, you haven't removed enough bark yet. When you're done, apply a mixture of lime sulfur to protect the area and help bleach the wood. Finally, we have the sabamiki, which is a hole or series of holes that have been carved into the trunk of the tree. They can be made to resemble damage from severe weather like tornadoes or lightning strikes. To create a sabamiki, carve a hollow or deep groove into the surface of the trunk. Make sure to leave enough living tissue in the groove to keep the upper tree alive. You can smooth out the edges of the cut with a concave cutter or rasp, then fill the bottom of the cut with soil. After carving, apply a mixture of lime sulfur to help preserve the area. So those are the three primary methods for adding deadwood to your bonsai: jin, shari, and sabamiki. Let me show you what I mean by putting them all together on this Chinese elm. This jin was formed when we wired this branch down low, then pruned off the competing leader. By removing the bark, we revealed the heartwood of this branch, and now it looks like a naturally occurring jin. These two shari were created by first wrapping wire around the trunk to hold the branches out and away from the trunk. Then we pruned off all the bark in that area. Without the wire, the bark would have grown back, but by keeping the branches out, we got the bark to grow over the branches, and now they are free to remove. The resulting shari creates interesting visual lines that lead up through the tree. And finally, we have this large Sabamiki here, which was created by first drilling a hole into the trunk, then carving the edges with a concave cutter to make it look more natural. This sapwood is so light colored that it almost looks like a fresh wound on the tree. Now, of course, you don't need to add deadwood to every tree, and sometimes less is more. But on this Chinese elm, the deadwood really helps highlight the twisted trunk and gnarled branches. Overall, deadwood is a fantastic way to add character and age to your bonsai while telling a story without having to wait centuries for the tree to do it on its own. Before we wrap up, I wanted to answer a question that I get all the time, which is, when is the best time of year to add deadwood? Well, thankfully, most of the steps involved in creating deadwood can be done at almost any time of year except for the actual bleaching process. That needs to be done when the tree is actively growing. The most ideal time would be early spring or late summer, when the tree can heal most effectively. Another question I hear is, what tools do you need to add deadwood to your bonsai? Well, thankfully, the tools needed aren't very many, and most are pretty inexpensive. You'll need a good pair of gin pliers, some carving tools, and concave cutters. A wire brush is also helpful when cleaning up the cut surfaces. A miniature torch can help disinfect your tools after each cut, and a spray bottle with a mixture of lime. Sulfur will help bleach and preserve the wood. All of these tools can be purchased online or at your local bonsai shop. I hope this video has given you the confidence to try out deadwood on your own bonsai. And if you do, I would love to see pictures, so please share them with me on social media. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like and subscribing for more videos like this in the future. Thanks for watching.